Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines. One's Michael Saylor and his predictions for Bitcoin by the end of the year, and it's extremely bullish. I know I've talked about some of those price levels as too, so we'll get into it when we get into the article. I've got another article about RFK and his recent appointment in Trump's administration. And we could see a little bit of impact on the stock side's health services. You know, we already saw a little dip off of the announcement, and it could really shake things up. I've got another headline. You know, there's a big event tonight for Netflix. They're doing something brand new, and this could really change the Netflix stock and what their trajectory is going to be for their business plan. So we'll hop into that a little bit later. But let's dive in and get you prepped for success today. I've got the stock heat map pulled up. You know, we saw a little bit of sell-off yesterday, kind of at the end of the day after Jerome Powell did a little bit of speaking. He talked about how rate cuts might not necessarily be coming for December, and we might need to slow down a little bit. And the market sold off a little bit after that speech. So we've got NVIDIA that's still sitting up a little bit, up 0.33%. Got Apple, which is sitting up 1.38%. Got Berkshire Hathaway sitting down a little bit, down 0.09%. We got Amazon sitting down 1.22%. We've got GE sitting down 2.81. We've got Eli Lilly getting hit a little bit harder off of that announcement of RFK's position and Trump's administration. It's down 3.15%. As you can kind of see, the health technology services got hit decently hard off of that news. We've got ExxonMobil sitting down 0.75%. You've got United Health Services sitting down 2.1%. And as you can kind of see, the rest of that sector is also sitting pretty red. We've got Tesla sitting down 5.77%. It is continued that little downtrend in the pre-market. Got P&G up 0.3%. You've got Microsoft sitting up 0.4%. Google sitting down 1.84%. And Meta is sitting down 0.49%. For the crypto side of things, we're looking pretty green this morning. We've got Bitcoin up 2.36%. We've got Ethereum that is up 1.06%. Solana up 1.59% right now. XRP doing big things. It is up 6.14% and is sitting at 80 cent range right now. Currently at 82 cents. We've got Dogecoin up 2.42. We've got SWI sitting up 0.85%. You've got Cardano also making a big move. It is up 4.87%, back in that 60 cent range that we haven't seen since last year. Avalanche is sitting up 3.2%. We got WorldCoin sitting up 4.16. Tron is sitting up 3.45, and Shiba Inu taking back some of those losses, up 2.92%. On the economic calendar today, we do have some import-export data that will be coming out at 8:30 Eastern Time. Should be a slight market mover. You know, definitely going to move a little bit of the markets in the pre-market. I don't think it'll really hold strength because we do have some retail sales month over month coming out that's looking like it's going to be a little bit down from last month. The year over year is forecasted to kind of be the same at that 1.7% mark. So, just something to keep in mind that the data drops for this morning will be a little bit of a market mover. It's coming out in about an hour, so something to watch on the charts. We've got some business inventories month over month coming out as well, and that's pretty much it for the day. Nothing extra heavy in the afternoon. For the fear and greeds, we do have the stock market, which is sitting down a point. It is still in greed, just slight greed though. Nothing too crazy. The market has been selling off a little bit off of the data that we've gotten this week. And for the crypto side, we're still in extreme greed, down 8 points, which is definitely kind of what we want to see when we're in a range where we want to see some consolidation. When we don't get massive moves down, we would like to see some massive move down on the fear and greed. It indicates that there's still room for the upside in this range, and we can make a different floor back in that level that I had talked about for my breakout target, which was sitting just a little bit higher. We had wicked into that range and couldn't hold it, but there's definitely some potential to get back up in that range. For the liquidations, this is the 3-day. We've got some liquidity sitting below us, starting at 85,000. It goes all the way up to about the $86,000 mark. There's another little hot spot here at 86.5. There's not really a whole lot of hot liquidity on the top side of us. You do have some slight liquidity sitting at the $90,000 mark. So definitely something to keep your eye on with the data that we'll be getting today. It could definitely see a little bit of a false move to the downside. For the daily one, we do have some hot spots sitting above us at 90,300. So a spot that we could definitely grab before maybe some downside movement. We will have to take a look at the Bitcoin chart to really see that. The hot spot for the bottom side is going to be 86,500 range. So that's going to be the really hot spot for the daily view. We took out a bunch of the liquidity that was sitting in the middle here at 88,000 that I had talked about not yesterday. Yesterday I was definitely under the weather. I slept through all of my alarms. I didn't even wake up in time for work. So I'm glad I'm feeling better today and can do this show. So let me hop over to the Bitcoin chart. This is the daily chart. As you can kind of see here, with the fear and greed sitting where it's at, you're also seeing the prime oscillator, which is now flipped red. Your MACD is kind of stalling out a bit. Could definitely see a little bit of a pullback. That's definitely something we've talked about for a while now. So if you drop it down to the 4-hour chart, you can kind of see there's definitely a potential for a little bit of some bouncing. You've got your prime oscillator, which is red. Your money flow is red, but it's looking like it could hit some reversal signals. Your MACD is also set to get some curve in the top side, so definitely could pull things up just a little bit. Let me hit the right one. For the 1 hour, you can kind of already see that your MACD has got its curvature up. It is looking like it might cross that 0 line. Your prime oscillator is definitely set on some green you're just looking for that money flow. That money flow needs to turn back positive if you really want to see this move continue. Could definitely see a little bit of some reversals here in the morning if this data that is coming out is not as overwhelmingly positive, especially after Jerome Powell said yesterday that rate cuts aren't a guarantee coming in December. We had saw a peak on the CME watch group yesterday. It had hit about the 70-80% that we would see a 25-point rate cut, and it has dropped back down to the 60 range that we had got before all of that data came out. So looking like the market's less sure about a rate cut. If you drop it down to the 15-minute to kind of see what the move for the morning might be, you see money flow is pretty green. You've got your prime oscillator, which is kind of red, but it looks like it could move back green with the before the data drop. You've got some curvature on here. Your MACD is kind of set to continue to the upside on the positive before maybe seeing a little bit of a pullback. You could see this 90,000 mark or 89.7 for the fib retracement. Sorry about that. Still not feeling 100. That 89,000 mark, 700, could be a nice little point where we see some strength. You can see there was lots of play on this point yesterday, and definitely a point where we got some bounces off of it. When we lost it and lost it hard, it was a point of rejection. So if we can find some strength here, maybe the pullback ends up being just down to this golden pocket again, and we see some strength at that 87,600 mark. If we do end up losing that, this 50% line on the fib, which is sitting at 85, which was a point of liquidity the other day, could definitely be a spot that we come back down to. Let me hop over to the chat real quick and say good morning to everyone. We had Kyle Fields first in the chat saying yo, French toaster with the yo-yo. Sup, Kyle, as well. We have Darren Does Things in here this morning. Good morning, Moho. We've got Jesse Gulek. We've got Crypto Billy in here as well. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great Friday. Let me hop over to this Michael Saylor article. Michael Saylor, I am already planning for a 100K Bitcoin party for New Year's Eve at my house. On November 14th, Michael Saylor, the co-founder and executive chairman of MicroStrategies, joined CNBC for the Caner Crypto Digital Assets and AI Infrastructure Conference in Miami. The discussion kicked off with CNBC's host Morgan Brennan addressing the recent surge in Bitcoin's price, asking Saylor whether the rally was linked to the anticipation of how the new U.S. administration would impact crypto. Saylor immediately acknowledged that the recent shift in the political landscape, which he referred to as the red wave, has been a significant development for Bitcoin. He suggests that the change in political leadership was the most positive event for the cryptocurrency market in the past 4 years. According to Saylor, this shift, combined with supportive voices from Wall Street, notably BlackRock, has created a more favorable environment for Bitcoin's value proposition. MicroStrategies recently announced a plan to raise $42 billion to purchase more Bitcoin, which he equates to acquiring every Bitcoin mined over the next 3 years at a price of a commitment to its Bitcoin-focused investment thesis, and demonstrates their confidence in the ongoing bullish market conditions. The conversation has turned to regulatory matters, particularly with regard to the new administration's potential appointment of a new SEC chair. Saylor highlighted that while Bitcoin is regulated as a commodity, other cryptocurrencies and crypto-related businesses, including MicroStrategies, fall under the jurisdiction of the SEC. He noted that the appointment of a new SEC chair is critical for shaping the future of the digital assets regulation. Saylor expects the new SEC chair to be more aligned with pro-Bitcoin and pro-business policies. He foresees a digital asset framework that would bring an end to what he described as a war on crypto, leading to more clarity in the regulatory landscape. He also mentioned that the broader political shift in the U.S., with the U.S. House, Senate, and White House all leaning towards pro-crypto policies, bodes well for the future of the industry. However, he refrained from speculating on specific names for the new SEC leadership. Addressing Bitcoin's price movement, Saylor expressed confidence that the current rally is far from over. He dismissed the idea that Bitcoin could fall below key levels such as 60,000 or 30,000. Instead, he confidently stated that he expects to see Bitcoin rising, with potential to breach $100,000 before the end of the year. Saylor is already planning a celebratory event when Bitcoin crosses this milestone, hinting at hosting a party on New Year's Eve. When pressed on potential risks that could drive Bitcoin's price lower, Saylor downplayed any significant threats. He indicated that the biggest uncertainty has already been resolved by the results of the November 5th elections. In his view, the political landscape is now settled, with strong support for digital assets with the newly elected officials. As a result, he sees no immediate risks that could derail Bitcoin's current trajectory. The final topic of discussion revolved around the idea of the strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States, which has been proposed by Senator Cynthia Lummis of Wyoming. Saylor drew parallels between this initiative and historical acquisitions by the U.S., such as the purchase of Manhattan, the Louisiana Territory, California, and Alaska. He argued that just as these acquisitions expanded the U.S. influence in the physical world, acquiring Bitcoin could establish America's dominance in cyberspace. Saylor's views the concept of Bitcoin reserves as a strategic move that would secure the United States' control over the global financial system in the digital age. He argued that owning a significant portion of Bitcoin would enable the U.S. to maintain its position as global economic leader. According to his calculations, adopting this strategy could potentially offset $16 trillion in the national debt, making it not only strategic but also an economically sound decision, which is a good point when you have the U.S. government who is holding so much Bitcoin. And if they just continue to hold it, would eventually, if we do fix the current trajectory of how we spend money, could end up outpacing the U.S. debt. And if we ever needed to pay the piper and sell off a little bit of Bitcoin so that we can cover our debts, we could easily do so. At some point, we could just hold the debt, hold the Bitcoin, and it would outpace the rate at which the debt is growing if we can kind of fix that. And that would be something that we need to watch with the next administration and their policy shift that they would like to see. If we can have Trump keep his promises of making a Bitcoin reserve and promising to not sell off any of the Bitcoin that they currently hold, which, we've seen small sell-offs by the U.S. government. Nothing crazy. They still hold a massive amount. I believe they're still number 8 in the largest holdings of Bitcoin. It would be a good sign for the U.S. government, and they could bring some strength back to the dollar, especially when that could easily cover all of their debts. The U.S. government has backed a lot of its debts by full faith and security of the U.S. government being able to pay its debts, which is kind of just a very loopy answer where it's like, oh, well, we're the U.S. government. Of course we pay our debts. But where's the assets behind it to kind of prove that? Their balance sheets aren't always amazing. They've spent more in the past year than they have in a long time. We hit around that $2 trillion mark in the past year. And that's definitely the wrong direction when you've got the economy heading where it is, where you're not seeing any more strength be brought from this. And this is why you might see good things happen with a new administration entering the Doge office into things where you start seeing cuts, you start seeing the US government spending less money and needing to take less taxes. So just something to just a whole general positive thing that we could end up heading to with a new administration, and some Bitcoin positive legislation that could be heading our way. For the second headline of the day, it's a short one. RFK's nomination to head of health department will shake up vaccines landscape. Market talk. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination as Health and Human Services Secretary will likely impact vaccine makers and the Food and Drug Administration. Jefferies and analysts write. Kennedy has publicly criticized childhood and mRNA-based vaccines, the analyst said. Vaccine perception in the U.S. could suffer, leading to lower demand and sales and potentially cause outbreaks if vaccinations are not consistent over the next 4 years, Jeffrey said. Kennedy has also been vocal on overhauling the FDA, which could alter the regulatory path, resources for biotech and drug review positions, as well as impacting key FDA leadership. Bavaric Nordic shares are down 16%, while Valveneck down 6%. And this is something I had talked about when I had first started the show this morning, where this could definitely shake up things, especially for the health side. You know, it's kind of needed, though, when you have these big companies who are propping up a giant sector of your news industry, who are paying politicians like crazy. You know, the FDA is completely financed by these drug companies. So maybe a little shakeup is needed. You've got the FDA who, once you get to a certain point, they kind of just retire from the FDA, and then guess where they go? Oh, they go to these drug companies who completely finance the FDA, who is supposed to be regulating the drug companies. So it'd be nice to see a little bit of shakeup. Yes, is there some conspiracy side to some of the things RFK says? Yes, but you know, sometimes there's a little hint of truth in conspiracies, and when these companies have such power that they're able to skate away through things like the opiate epidemic and other things that I won't really dive too deep into because it's a whole tinfoil hat thing that I don't really have the time to. But like when you see these companies that have such strength to just pay a little bit of money, and it is a little, yeah, it's billions, but it's a little bit of money to them because they made trillions, then they don't, the regulatory power is extremely diminished. And this is where they're paying the FDA to regulate their drug, where it would never get in if they couldn't pay the FDA to regulate that. And so it's kind of skewed on things. I don't know if you've ever dived into the FDA, but there's a giant backlog on the FDA. They don't really hit all of the points that they should on regulation of medicine, which is why you constantly are seeing those late night commercials where it's like, were you harmed by this medical product? Well, yeah, that's because things were pushed through. You have these medical research that was done, and it's taken off of the own company's research and not the FDA, who is deep diving into the actual research of this. So I would definitely love to see a little bit of shakeup in that industry, and you might see some sell off over the next couple of years in some of these medical companies as their strength is lost and they don't get to get away with some of the things that they've been pulling that have been making them tons of money. You might see some more ethical sides to the medical industry, which is definitely something that's been needed in America. I don't know if anyone has any assets that they'd like me to take a look at, but I can definitely do that here before I end the show. I do have one other article I'd like to hop into, but before I do that, let me say hello to the few people that slid into the chat this morning. We've got All Set in here saying good morning to the people. We've got Alexandra G in here. Good morning to the Mod Queen. Retro Might Tech with the $3.99 super chat and the emoji. Looks like it's a bird giving some coffee. So thank you for that, Retro Might Tech. We've got Jesse Gulek in here. And Wick 589. Good morning. Let me pull up that last little article. It was online. Let me get over to it. It's the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, which this kind of touches on the predictions of it. You know, we've seen a lot of talk about this, but this is a new side to Netflix. You know, Netflix has been capping out a lot on its new subscribers and being able to bring in new revenue. They've wrestled with the idea of bringing ads to the platform, and that's not something that people really want to see. To keep revenue up, you know, they've increased the amount for their subscription, and they've done that over and over again. And now they're kind of sending things in a new direction, and this could be very interesting to see. You've got Amazon, who has their streaming platform. They've paired with the NFL, and this has brought them some more revenue. And this is definitely something Netflix wants to compete with, and this is going to be a first for Netflix and could definitely reshape the way that Netflix does business, because this is going to be one of the bigger fights for the year. You know, it's been talked about a lot. You know, it's heavily influence based, but guess what? That brings in the money. It'll keep bringing in the money, and it might let them make some business deals with the UFC, and there's a few other companies out there that host fights, but the UFC is going to be the biggest, and this might let them open the door to some more revenue streams. So I'm definitely going to be watching the fight tonight just for the entertainment value, but I would also like to see how well Netflix is able to handle something like this, because it's something completely brand new for them. So not really going to hop too much into the article. You know, it's more it's less financial based and more just talking about the fight. So let's see if anyone has any assets they'd like me to take a look at. If not, I will hop into some of the indices I was looking at this morning. We have Crypto Conspiracy in here saying, "What's up, fam?" And I'm My Hero saying, "Sup, homies." So I don't see any assets that were requested, so I will hop into some of the indices for the morning. I've got the Russell 2000 pulled up. It has definitely been making a little bit of a pullback. I had talked about some of that happening and wanting to see some strength made on this this 50% line on a fib extension. And it looks like we lost some of that. We've got a pullback, which looks like we could kind of hit this CME gap, which starts at 2,300. We're only $30 away from that. It's not a big pullback to see, especially if some of the data that we're going to see this morning is not overwhelmingly positive. You would see more of your stronger assets that are less risky make some strength off of this move. The midline of that CME gap is sitting at 2,282. So this could definitely be a point where you might see some bouncing. You do have money flow, which is looking pretty green on the daily, but your MACD's heavy curvature, your prime oscillator, has turned red and is looking to the downside with some overbought signals and some reversal signals that have definitely been shown. So definitely looking like we're going to see a pullback on the Russell 2000. That bottom side target would be the 2,259 mark. I don't know if we really see that on this Friday. I would expect just some slight pullbacks before we kind of end the day. My target would be more of the mid-range of that. That's that 2,282 mark. If you look at a lower time frame, you can kind of see here where your money flows red, your prime oscillator has flipped to the light red. You've got a reversal signal, but it plays out a lot on those reversal signals that you end up seeing a double reversal signal before you really see that move. Your MACD is now on the bottom side of things. You've got some light on your indicator here, but I would definitely look at a little more pullback. That's where that 2,300 mark could be a little bit of a bouncing point. And if the data is not overwhelmingly positive that I talked about earlier, then we could end up seeing that 2,280 mark. I did see a few requests come in. I see Link and Stacks. So let me pull those up. For Link, let me find that real quick. There we go. And I had said the other day, let me zoom that out. It's on the 15-minute from the other chart. We've got the 4-hour. I had said I wanted to see Link make some strength at this $13 mark, which was the last real highs that we had pulled back from to drop below the golden pocket. And that's exactly what we did. We broke out above that $13 mark. We're not able to find some strength on that 50% line on a fib retracement that I have had drawn for quite a while. And we dropped right back down to that $13 mark and found heavy support. Link is looking like it could continue that move up. Your money flow is still a little red on your 4-hour, but you've got some divergences. Your prime oscillator has finally ticked to the green from some light red. You've got your MACD, which is looking set to cross. It is on the bottom side though, so could definitely see some stalling out here in this, but I would look for some top side targets. You've got this almost $14 is $13.86 range where there was some heavy selling pressure. So that top side could be a little bit of a resistance point on the way up. And if you are not already in a move, would definitely be a point where you could end up entering on a long. Let me zoom it down just a little bit. As you can kind of see, as I had talked about some stalling here at that point, you can kind of see your MACD on the 1-hour is looking like it could hit some curvature. It's right here at that above that zero line where your oscillator here is looking like it wants to go either green or red. you're looking at a pretty big indecision candle. So we'll kind of see how that plays out. Your hour money flow is slightly green. It looks like it could go red, which is why it could really go either way for this morning. I would look at maybe if we do see some slight pullback, some making a higher low to continue that. That last high for the range was $13.16. So if we can stay above that on a slight pullback, then I would definitely look at some upside targets. You've got, for your 15-minute chart, some curvature here, but your money flow is starting to come back in. It is heavily green. Your prime oscillator is looking pretty indecisive. It's kind of moving sideways along with your MACD, which is moving sideways. Your indicator line is moving right there with your MACD line, and it's looking pretty indecisive. So this is definitely with the red, and the red here on the prime oscillator could definitely see a little bit of pullback. As I had said, that as long as we stay above that 13.6 to 13.30 on a slight pullback on this, could definitely look at some more upside targets. I had seen stacks as well. Let me scroll on down to find that. Stacks. There we go. It's been a while since I've looked at stacks. Let me zoom it back out to the 4 hour. Actually, we'll go to the daily since it's been a while since I've looked at that. Let me zoom out here. You've got your money flow on the daily, which is starting to look a little bit green. It is at that light greenish, light red point on your prime oscillator. You do have a reversal signal that looked like it played out extremely well. You've got some buying pressure here that is on the daily chart, but your MACD is looking pretty indecisive. So definitely looking like we could kind of head either direction on a daily chart. Let me zoom it down to see kind of what a shorter time frame looks like. Here we go. We've got some divergences that are showing up on your prime oscillator. Your money flow is slowing down on some red. So looking like we could maybe end up seeing a reversal of trend here, but your MACD is looking pretty indecisive. I know with the data that's coming out a little later, looking like an hour from now, we could definitely end up pulling back down. You've got heavy buying pressure here down above the golden pocket. So if we do end up pulling back down, I would like to see strength made here at about $1.75. You can kind of see it played out extremely well when we hit it over here. This ended up being almost a hammer candle. We've got your buying pressure here as well. So looking like if we can end up reversing that trend, we could see your 50% line come back into play. That's going to be that $2 mark that we weren't able to hold a few days ago. So let's see what it's looking like on an hourly. As you can see here, your MACD is pointing up. We're still on the negative side of things, but your money flow is a little bit indecisive here. It went light green back to light red. So I would really want to see some money flow pick back up to kind of save stacks. It'll end up playing a lot with the Bitcoin chart. So if we do end up seeing that upside target that I talked about on Bitcoin, where we end up reclaiming that 236 at the $90,000, around the $90,000 mark, I would definitely be looking for stacks to pull on up to this $2 mark. It is heavily associated with Bitcoin, as it is a Bitcoin layer 2. I'm not seeing any other requests in the chat, so let's wind it on down. I do need to get going this morning. I've hopefully got some work to do today, so looking like I might start training with the CDL permit. On the job training with the CDL permit that I got this week. So potential to make some more money and invest some more money. So I'll be looking at more TradFi plays going into this next year. If y'all are more interested in some TradFi side of the markets, I would definitely like some feedback on that. If you could leave that in the comments for me, on what your feels are. I definitely do this for y'all and would like to cater the show to what you guys want to see more of. So leave that in the comments for me so I can redesign some of the some of the things I do with the show, especially now that it is a solo show. I'd like to cater a little bit more to what you guys like to see. Thank you to everyone that said congrats. It means a whole lot. I definitely appreciate every single one of you for showing up every single day. It means a whole lot. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, it would also mean a lot. We're definitely trying to do some new things going into this next year. We've got the Mad show that is coming out, Markets After Dark with LBC. So he'll be doing that first one. I believe he said Sunday. So keep your eye out for that. We got a new show coming. Also, we've got the morning market report with Piper and OC Guy. They will be coming on at 9:30 Eastern later on this channel. So tune in for them. They've got a lot of the data that they will be diving into. Piper is great about that data drops, and he gets to do it right after the data comes out. So he'll definitely be able to dive more into how he feels on that. We do not have the Crypto Nightcap show today as it is Friday, but Monday night, TradeFly and FD White will be coming back at 8:30 Eastern PM. So make sure to tune into that. If you didn't see last night's show, you should definitely go back and watch it. It's definitely a great one. They talked a bit about Gary Gensler. So definitely something that was quite entertaining. Thank you to everyone that showed up. I hope you have a great Friday, because it's going to be a good one. The rest of the weekend should be a great weekend as well. So trade safe this morning. The data is going to be coming in just about an hour. Everyone wake up, because today's going to be a good day.